This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 7th day of April in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. After questioning the attorneys for the petitioners and the respondents in the election petition matter for over 3 hours, Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George announced this afternoon that she will be handing down her decision in the case on the 26th of April. The Chief Justice has received all of the written submissions and responses from the attorneys in the matter, and this morning's hearing was to seek clarification on a number of issues. At the conclusion of the hearing, she said that she was hoping to hand down her decision within 2 weeks, but she noted that with the additional information and clarification provided today, she will now be aiming to present her decision to the court on the 26th of April. The election petition case number 88 was filed by coalition supporters Claudette Thorne and Heston Bostwick. It challenges the validity of the national recount order by the Elections Commission and the declaration of the final results using that order. The order came out of an agreement between the then President David Granger and then Opposition Leader Barrett Jagdeo. The petitioners have been arguing that the Elections Commission did not have the power to amend the elections law on its own, making way for the recount order.
I think it has to be either one of two things. Either the order is invalid in the sense that it did not comply with the provisions of the law, or that it amended the law for a particular time and a particular purpose. They can't have their cake and eat it too.
That's Senior Counsel John Jeremy, who is representing the interests of the petitioners. The attorney for respondents, Barrett Jagdeo, near finale Senior Counsel Douglas Mendez, told the court that the order which paved the way for the recount did not infringe on the Representation of the People Act, which covers elections.
In this case, there's no question of amending the Representation of the People Act. Order 60 does not purport to do that. The language of the RPA is the same now as it was before Order 60. Neither did Order 60 modify the RPA, because again, the language of the RPA is the same now as it existed before Order 60.
Meanwhile, the attorney representing the interests of the Elections Commission, Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan, told the court that the recount order was a valid one, and the Elections Commission acted within the law in making the order and putting it into force.
GCOM had the constitutional and statutory authority to conduct a recount, which is a lawful requirement and procedure under the Representation of the People's Act, to remove that difficulty, which was accepted literally across the board, except in a small political circle.
Attorney General of Guyana, Senior Counsel Anil Nandlal, told the court that it is within the functions of the Elections Commission to resolve controversies surrounding the elections.
Section 22 of the Election Laws Amendment Act was already in the public domain, and GCOM had already indicated that it will utilize that along with Article 162 of the Constitution to proceed with the recount. So, Your Honor, it is after this pronouncement from the Court of Appeal that GCOM proceeded to draw up Article Order 60 with its accompanying amendments, and with the agreement of all the parties.
2 election petitions were filed in the aftermath of the 2020 elections by supporters of the APNU-AFC coalition. One of the petitions was thrown out over the late service on one of the respondents. In the petition that is currently before the court, the attorneys for the petitioners are depending heavily on their written submissions, hoping that the arguments are strong enough for a decision in their favor. That decision comes down in 3 weeks. More news coming up in just a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
Weathered every storm and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
That gives it its strength.
all the people,
Regardless of race,
class or religion,
We
are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
At Sash Financial, we create strategies for strengthening business and personal finances while helping our clients to build sustainable wealth. Our financial and business consultancy services are uniquely tailored to ensure every client receives quality packages and optimal results. Our financial services include financial reporting and analysis, financial status assessment, internal audits, bookkeeping and records management, financial planning advice, tax returns. Our business advisory services are related to business plans, business startups, operational improvement, business management, document preparation, procedures development, efficient marketing. Call or WhatsApp us today for your free consultation on telephone number 592-665-6045. Sash Financial, strengthening businesses, building wealth.
You taste the cheese, you hear the crunch. Grab a zoomers and zoom into fun. And with the first taste, you feel like you don't want it done. Blast off to a whole new place with every single bite. The cheesy goodness bring your taste buds alive. So let's just zoom into fun with this wheel-shaped light. Zoomers, zoomers, zoom into fun.
University students, do you know who is seeing what you share online? Prospective employers, recruiters, and graduate schools often screen potential candidates before hiring or approving applications. Sharing inappropriate images or posts and using obscene language online can cost you dearly. Avoid paying the price. 1. Set your account to private. 2. Think twice before you share a post. 3. Get permission before posting details about others. Remember, what goes online stays online. Stop oversharing and get safe online.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL?
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
The Infectious Diseases Hospital at Liliendal and other public hospitals are feeling the strain as they deal with more hospitalized cases of coronavirus. There are now 70 persons hospitalized battling COVID-19. The situation is becoming worrying for health officials, especially since many of those in hospitals require supported breathing.
Out of seeing more cases, we have started seeing more hospitalization. So as of today, we right now have about 70 persons in hospitals. We have 54 at the Ocean View Hospital. We have persons at the Linden Hospital, West Demerara Hospital, and New Amsterdam Hospital. So our regional hospitals, we now have more COVID patients coming into them because they require assistance in breathing. And so we are seeing more cases coming to us. And out of those that have been hospitalized, a percentage of them are much sicker.
And this evening, there are concerns that a deadlier and faster spreading variant of coronavirus is now in Guyana. Today, the country recorded its 250th death from the virus. A total of 17 deaths have been recorded in the past 7 days alone. The country has also seen 469 new cases in the past week.
We want to urge the public to take additional precaution, and that is why the ministry statement went out, because we've been seeing these cases going up, and we are encouraging people to do all the public health measures that we have issued and take precautions, because we've seen a lot of people who are not abiding by the rules, not wearing masks and so forth. And because of these breaches, you're going to continue to have spread.
Minister Anthony also indicated that the variants that might be in Guyana remains unknown. There has been no confirmation as yet.
Now, as it pertains to what variant or variants we have in Guyana, we don't know, because while we would have sent 10 samples to CARFA for genetic sequencing, the results of those samples did not come back specifying that we have any of the newer variants. So we still don't know what variants we have in Guyana, and we can only know that if it's confirmed by genetic sequencing.
Meanwhile, the national vaccination drive is still ongoing across the country, and all persons aged 40 years and older are being encouraged to take the vaccine. Let's tell you now that opposition leader Joe Harmon, AFC leader Kemraj Ramjatan, and other senior coalition members met with the U.S. Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch yesterday, along with her Deputy Chief of Missions. The opposition raised several governance issues during the meeting. They raised concerns of discriminatory practices by the government, the arbitrary firing of public servants, alleged politically motivated charges, and the arbitrary arrest of persons, as well as discriminatory practices in the distribution of the COVID-19 cash grant. In a statement today, the APNU-AFC coalition said the leader of the opposition shared the coalition's views and observations on the issues and how they broadly affect the Guyanese people, and specifically the impact and effect on supporters of the APNU-AFC coalition.
We dealt with a number of governance issues, with issues of democracy, parliamentary issues, constitution reform, the behavior and attitude of this regime. Actually, I gave to her a compendium of matters which we had compiled from the 2nd of August to the end of December, which basically identified the behavior of the PPP regime, the arbitrary arrest, the victimization, the racial profiling, and all of these issues we in fact raised, and we gave them a written document that spoke to our position on these matters. We also indicated to the ambassador was that this administration basically was installed, and therefore we believe that they have, the U.S. that is, has some influence over the way they behave, and therefore we expect that they will use that influence to great effect in bringing about a change in their behavior.
The opposition also reiterated the reluctance on the part of the government to engage with the opposition, noting that there should be an effort to engage in meaningful dialogue and to ensure that the government does not govern in a manner ostracizing a large section of the population with the support of the U.S. Mr. Harmon requested of the ambassador that the opposition be informed of any major changes on U.S. policy decisions on Guyana. Additionally, the opposition said its views are communicated to Washington on a regular basis. To support its claim, the opposition also documented several issues and presented a file on its issues of concerns to the ambassador and her deputy. The Ministry of Housing and Water has started the process of relocating the 11 squatters who were found on government land in the Cummings Lodge area. The land is being prepared for the construction of government housing. Notice had earlier been given to the squatters to move from the area. Housing Minister Colin Crowell and a team from the Central Housing and Planning Authority visited the area earlier today. The minister said it was found that some of the squatters already have applications in with the housing department, while the others are in the process of making their applications. Minister Kroll said the government is ready to move ahead with the construction of 190 low-income homes in the area, and therefore the squatters will be relocated.
In the first phase, we are constructing about 190 elevated houses. Behind me, you can see the commencement. And because of that contract signing too, we also signed the contract for the contractors to commence those houses. And there are 13 contractors who are involved here. And if you look behind me, you can see already foundation work is ongoing. But there are two major issues to be dealt with immediately.
The squatters are expected to move from the area by this coming Saturday. The housing minister has assured that they will be relocated to a suitable area. The housing development in the Cummings Lodge area is part of the government's plans to construct more homes for low-income households. Turning now to the labor front, declaring that some of the worst breaches of occupational health and safety could be found in the public sector, Labor Minister Joe Hamilton has indicated that government agencies and departments will also be targeted by labor officers as they enforce regulations. During an appearance on the Jumpstart radio show, Minister Hamilton said an occupational health and safety campaign has been launched and is targeting the private and public sectors across the 10 regions.
That in my sojourn around the country, some of the most worst breaches of OSH I have seen is in the public sector. So the public sector also, we must monitor them. And we are engaged with both public sector and private sector, to have them form occupation safety and health committees, because the law says once you have more than 19 employees, you must have a health and safety committee made up of the staff and the management.
The Labour Minister also said there are now more occupational health and safety officers in place at his ministry, and therefore there will be more monitoring of workplaces and work sites.
We speak about mining, but also Gordon, people are dying in the logging industry. That's also is an unsafe place. Outside here, people dying in the construction industry. The first 5 months I spent here, we had 12 deaths, 7 in the mining district and 5 on construction sites.
Wow.
So we have to pay attention to all the different sectors.
Hamilton said his ministry is currently engaging both the private and public sectors to have them form occupational health and safety committees, citing a law that requires companies to have a health and safety committee in place once there are more than 19 employees. April is Occupational Health and Safety Month in Guyana. The Labour Ministry will be hosting a number of programs across the country in observance of the month. In the long run, legislation is being reviewed to increase fines and sanctions against those workplaces that are found in breach of the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
More employers are using social media to monitor employees. Here are some ways to maintain professionalism online. Never share confidential information about anyone, whether colleagues or clients. Do not share inappropriate posts from work gatherings. Keep company social media posts neutral. Never argue or make offensive comments. Never complain about your job to clients. Remember, what goes online stays online. Stop oversharing and get safe online.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
across the region right now, the Trinidad Express newspapers reports that there was an explosion this morning at a Nikwan Energy's gas-to-liquids plant, located on what was formerly the Petrotin Point-de-Pierre refinery. It happened at daybreak this morning. A thick plume of smoke was seen in the air. The blast shook houses and caused panic among residents of South Marabella in Trinidad. The loud rumbling sound was heard miles away. According to one employee, the explosion may have been caused by a buildup of wax inside the pipelines leading to the hydrocracking unit in the plant. The employee said no one was injured in the explosion. The Nikwan Energy gas-to-liquids plant was opened by the Prime Minister in March. In July 2012, an explosion at the then Petrotin refinery claimed the life of a 59-year-old man. Nikwan GTL is the first commercial plant of its kind in the Western Hemisphere and is one of only 5 commercial GTL plants currently operating in the world, built exclusively for the commercial production of GTL products and using the low-temperature Fischer-Tropsch process. The Tourism Minister in Jamaica, Edmund Bartlett, is reporting that Jamaica recorded a major increase in stopover arrivals over the Easter holiday weekend, with the island recording the highest number of visitors since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic more than a year ago. According to data from the Jamaica Tourist Board, Jamaica recorded more than 14,900 visitors to the island between the 1st and 5th of April. Over 13,000 of those visitors entered the island via the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay. The tourism minister indicated that year-to-date, Jamaica has welcomed some 209,930 passengers to the island. He said he is pleased and heartened by the data for the tourism industry. The tourism minister also noted that representatives of the Tourism Product Development Company and other government entities visited a number of properties over the holiday weekend to inspect the entities and also check for compliance with the COVID-19 guidelines. And finally tonight, international news. The EU's medicines regulator says unusual blood clots should be listed as a very rare side effect of the AstraZeneca vaccine for COVID-19. After a study looking at 86 European cases, the European Medicines Agency concluded the benefits of the vaccine outweigh the risk. The report reflected data on 25 million Europeans administered with the vaccine. The agency could not list specific risk factors such as age or gender, but most blood clots cases were women under the age of 60. Separately, the UK's vaccine advisory body said that on the 30s they were to be offered an alternative jab to AstraZeneca due to the blood clots issue. Some 79 people had suffered rare blood clots after vaccination by the end of March in the United Kingdom. 19 of them passed away. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting. Stay safe.